Welcome back to the Agrabah Desert. I'm Professor Toybox. I've got Princess Jasmine with me and the genie. And today I'm going to show you how to build the Scarab chase. My inspiration for this came from the beginning of the Aladdin movie. When Jafar combines the two halves of the Scarab, it flies across the desert to the Cave of Wonders, and Jafar has to ride fast on his horse to follow it. I was originally going to try to build this whole sequence in one video, but I've since changed my mind, so today I'll show you how to build the Scarab chase, and next time I'll show you how to make the Cave of Wonders rise up out of the desert. The first thing we're going to need are some horses, and I've already taken the liberty of placing the sidekick tree door with me. That's from the Gameplay Toys drawer, and I've got a replayer here as well, and all I've done is place these toys. And so we will come over here and step on the replayer. And I'm going to press B to record on my Wii U and step off, which allows me to get back into the editor. And I'm going to place two horses out here. And since the player is approaching from this direction, I want to put the horses over here so that they can see that they've been generated. And I'm going to use the same two black horses here. I could use two different horses, but this will save a little bit of memory if we use the same horse for both. And then I'll come back and step on the replayer to open that menu, press B again to stop recording, and A to clear. Okay, and then we'll set up the properties on the door. And again, if I pick this up, you can see this is under the Gameplay Toys drawer. It's part of the Brave Forest Siege game from 2.0. And we'll open the logic menu and adjust the properties. And I do not want to remove Genie on entry, so I'll leave that first property off. This property should be left to on, but I'm probably going to have to test this a couple of times, so I'm going to turn this off temporarily. Detection level of 1 is fine. Normal response chance, I'll take that up to 10. Explosive response chance, 0. And then we'll do a new logic connection. When the normal response is returned, come over here to the replayer, and we'll do a playback. And now we can go ahead and test that. And I'll throw Genie in the door. And that should get me the horses that I need for the Scarab chase. Alright, so the next part of the Scarab chase sequence, and park over here. I'm going to go ahead and equip the magic wand just so that I can see everything. Okay, so I've got a button, or a locator rather. Yeah, a button over there. That's going to be my reset button, because again, I'll have to test this a few times. I've got two locators. I've got a radar marker, a dynamic trigger, a time delayer in the middle, a text displayer, and an effects generator. And this will work on the next part of the chase. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I really don't like using the magic wand, so I'm going to go back into Spark mode. First thing we'll do is hook up the radar marker. And this is the radar marker that's going to tell the player where to go to begin the Scarab chase. I'm going to do a new locator connection. And we're going to connect up to this first locator. And then underneath the properties for the radar marker, I'm going to change the target. This is the dynamic trigger. We're going to change this to be the locator, and I'm going to set the trigger distance to be 4. And now we'll hook up the radar marker. So new locator connection. And we'll set the radar marker properties. And for the beacon type, I'm going to use a yellow ring. Yellow, of course, is for the primary quest, the main quest. Blue is for secondary quests. And the beacon location needs to be the locator And I'm going to have this active when you come into the toy box. So now that tells the player where they need to go. And the dynamic trigger is hooked up to that. Let's configure the time delayer next. So under the properties, I'm going to set the delay time to be 3 seconds. And for the text displayer, the properties for this, I'll set the text duration to be 3 and the text style to be banner. And now the effects generator, this is what's going to generate the effect, the sparkly effect for the Scarab. And we're going to use that other locator for that. So we're going to do a new locator connection. And I'm going to connect up to this locator, which essentially is going to be our Scarab. All right, so that's everything configured. Let's go ahead and hook them up. So on the dynamic trigger, when the player enters the area around that radar marker, we're going to do a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll come over to the radar marker first of all and deactivate that. And on the radar marker, new logic connection, when that's deactivated, we'll turn around and turn off the dynamic trigger, and that'll save a little bit of processing time. Now also on that dynamic trigger, do a new logic connection when entered by player any. We're going to come over to the time delayer and start the delay. And 3 seconds later, that will go off. So a new logic connection on the time delayer. When the delay is completed, we're going to come to the text displayer. And I'm going to come down to the start category. And we're going to say, let's go. That lets the player know it's time to chase the Scarab. And the last thing the dynamic trigger needs to do is new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll come over to the effects generator and we're going to start the effect for the Scarab. So we're going to play looped. And we're going to do, let's see, under here, the subtle sparkle. Alright, so the player gets their horse and they come up, and as soon as they enter this area around the locator there, around the radar marker, this is going to start the effect on that locator for the Scarab, and it's also going to kick off the time delayer. And 3 seconds later, that's going to say, let's go, and I also want the Scarab to start moving at that point. And so that's how that's going to work. Now, for the Scarab, to make it move, we're going to put it on a path. And so let's come back down to the Creativitoys drawer, and I'm going to start the path right up directly above that locator. And fortunately, that put us into point mode, so that's good. And for this, we're going to come down, and I'm going to drop the first one. Let's see, we'll put it right down here. About like so. And we're going to put it up in the air a little bit. And the Scarab's probably going to take a bit of a direct route. So the fact that it's coming across this sand dune is fine. It's up to the player to make their way around that. So the first point we'll put right here, just like that. For the next point, we'll go down to the next plateau down here. Actually, 2 plateaus down. And for this one, I'm going to put this out here near this boundary. And I'm going to put it over this way a little bit because we're going to start angling towards that slope on the right. And so we'll go ahead and put this over here about like this. And then the next one will be about halfway across this plane and over a little bit more, and down, but not too far, because it's going to go back up again here shortly. That's a little too far, so about like that. And then the next one, we're going to come over here and we're going to be moving them along in this direction. And so I want to put this one about right here, somewhere like this. And we're going to put it up just a little bit. So just like that. And then the next one is going to be out over this way. I want them to jump that canyon. And yeah, so we'll put this one about right here. Oops, not that far down. So like that. And then the next one is going to be out over here, just on the edge of this cliff. So about like this. And then the next one is going to go down to the floor of the plateau down here for the lower desert. And we'll put this up just a little bit. And I'm going to start angling it a little closer towards that canyon over there. And we may adjust this a little in a minute. And then for the final location, I've got 5 blocks lined up, and they're centered with the canyon over there, and they start on this terrain seam. And so the final point is going to sit right here on the back edge of this block. And now we can exit, and there's our path. And we'll go ahead and take these blocks out of here, because I only use those for spacing. So the Cave of Wonders is going to sit about right here. And that gives us a little bit of desert behind it, so it's not right up against the edge of that, but it's back towards the back half of the back 2/3 of the desert there. All right, so let's take a look at that path, and that looks pretty smooth. And that's going to be the path that the Scarab takes. All right, so we'll come back to the start of the path, and I'm going to set the path properties. So under the properties, active is going to be true, and we're going to set the speed to the maximum, which is 300. That's about as fast as a horse, maybe a little bit faster than the horse running at maximum speed, so that's good. These two are off, that's fine. Auto start, we're going to turn that off. And now we'll go ahead and connect that locator up to the path. If I can select it. There we go. We'll do a new path connection on that locator. And we're going to connect it to that path. Unfortunately, it stays down there, so I can select it again. And we're going to come onto the properties for the locator. Toy box path. And the default speed is fine. I want to orient along the path. All of these properties are fine, but the movement style is going to be one way and stop. All right. So on the time delayer, once this goes off, not only will it say let's go, but then I want that Scarab to start moving. So on the time delayer, a new logic connection. When the delay is completed, we'll come over to the path. Nope, the path. There we go. And we're going to do a reset and play. And I'm just reviewing my diagram here. Yeah. And that will start the Scarab moving pretty quickly along this path. And then when the Scarab reaches the end of the path, then we want to turn off that sparkly effect. And this point down here, by the way, will also be the thing that kicks off the Cave of Wonders coming out of the ground, which we'll do next time. So on the point here, we'll do a new logic connection. When the point is reached by the object on the path, we're going to come back over to the effects generator and stop looping the effect. This desert is a long desert. Even in spark mode, which flies pretty fast, it takes a while to get back here. Alright, so on the effects generator, we'll stop looping the effects. And that should be everything for the Scarab chase. Now again, I'm going to have to test this multiple times, so on the reset button here, we'll do a new logic connection when pressed. I want to make sure I turn that dynamic trigger back on. And I also want to turn the radar marker back on. And just in case I decide to press this while the Scarab chase is underway, we'll make sure we stop looping those effects. And we'll also do a reset and stop on the path. That'll put the Scarab back here. Okay, and I think that's everything. Let's go ahead and try it out. So we hop on the horse, and we approach the radar marker. The radar goes off. 3 seconds later, there goes the Scarab. And I got the wand in my hand, so we can just kind of follow it and make sure that locator is doing what it's doing. So it's got that nice sparkle effect on it. You can see it's getting ahead of me a little bit. That's fine. That kind of lends a little urgency to the chase here. And we got a couple of jumps coming up. And there we go. The locator's at the end. The sparkle effect has stopped. And now we would want the Cave of Wonders to start coming out of the ground there. So that's the Scarab chase. Next time I'll show you how to make the Cave of Wonders rise up out of the ground when the Scarab reaches the end of the path. Until then, I want to thank you for watching my video today and remind you that I've got logic diagrams on my blog that will show how to connect all the creativity toys that I used, which might be helpful if you want to build this toy box yourself. Be sure to subscribe to my channel or follow me on my blog so you don't miss the next episode. That's all for me today. See you next time.